Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Astral Tourist, where we take unexpected detours through the astral plane. I also share handy astral projection tips throughout all my various episodes to help you along the way. There is also a specialized playlist where I tell about my method and give tips and how to deal with like troublemakers, how to get around, how to get through your walls and windows, and stay out there even longer. So check that out too if you haven't already and you're curious to know how to do those types of things. But now for a few quick channel updates. I'm a bit behind on updating my actual blog, theastraltourist.com. But you can always check out my YouTube channel here for my latest posts and experiences. I will be continuing to make some updates on the blog. I just haven't had time to get completely caught up. I've added Facebook and Night Cafe links in the blog's Contact Me page and in the sidebar to the left. And I'll include those here too. Night Cafe is just like a graphics website, which I've been having a lot of fun with. So I had to restart my Facebook page some time ago due to some technical issues. So it's still pretty bare for now, but I am there. If you would like to add me, that would be great. On Patreon, I've set up a few donation buttons, but subscriptions and perks will come once I have more time, hopefully in a few more months. I have a really busy month here coming up in July, so maybe August, I'm thinking. If you have ideas for perks you'd like to see, please let me know. Some thoughts I had were shout-outs or even like a private chat area just for subscribers. And any questions that come from the subscribers, of course, I would get to first when I'm short on time. Since, early episodes don't always work for me when I'm just trying to record my astral projection experiences on the go. I do have a busy life. I don't just spend all day meditating, which I think is a common misnomer for people in this forte, I guess. I don't know. But I do have a very practical and busy life on top of this, or maybe to the side of this, however you'd like to describe it. And if I seem a little loopy, it's because I am. We are in the middle of a heat wave here where I live. I do have AC, but it doesn't always do quite enough. I mean, I'm fine. It's enough to be livable, but oh my gosh, it's hot. It's hot. So let's get on into the episode because I know some people are very, very curious about the Bennington area, and I finally have another update for it. But first I'm going to cover my astral projection experiences throughout the evening because that's how I record my experiences to myself, and it's good practice. And then here's your tip. You should be doing that too because it helps memory recall. I mean, do what you want, of course. I'm not like trying to force anybody to do anything, but I am going to say as an experienced astral projector, recounting your experiences as they are improves memory recall so much, especially if you do it for years on end every single night. Imagine it just amplifying over and over and over again. So that's why I do it, and you do what you want. So last night I found myself drawn back into the lower astral, though most of the details slipped away by whenever I woke up that time of the night. And also this morning, I still don't remember like the earliest experiences. I know I was somewhere and I didn't like it. I decided that's enough of this. And I decided to explore outside the immediate area because sometimes that can be really interesting. There can be vast differences between an area you're in and then you want to go outside. And sometimes people will even say like, don't go out there. You don't know what's out there. Well, I'm the one that wants to know. So I went out there, and it just looked like a city street in the dark, and some people were causing some mayhem and stuff. And I'm like, more lower astral stuff. So I took off into the air, intending to reach a higher dimension, something lighter, clearer, just beyond the usual. And as I ascended up into the evening sky, I started seeing these geometric swirls all around me, and this was at the same time I kept making the intention, a higher dimension, a higher dimension, a higher dimension. And here's what not to do. Don't just do that. It was too general. And usually I know better than that. But again, I was, tired, and there's been this heat wave. And I do feel like I'm getting caught up on my sleep and everything since the last trip I was on. But I'm not 100%, obviously. So I only got like a higher dimension. And there were deep, vibrant colors, very visual and present, swirling and moving around. But before I could actually get anywhere, I suddenly snapped back into my physical body with a little bit of a tingling sensation, which is normal for me. Sometimes I get that when I come back in. And so I kind of think, I was there for quite a while, just in those geometric patterns and everything. So I think that was the higher dimension. I mean, I was in some kind of a geometric dimension, which, did last for a short while. And, at the time I thought it was a transition phase to somewhere else, but I think I actually got to a higher dimension now that I'm thinking back on it. And it was just, that's what it was. It was a really simple one, but fascinating nevertheless. There was another astral projection where there was a door. Everything was pretty blurry. Again, I was not at 100%, even though I could tell I had autonomously astral projected. And I saw a door, and I remembered this trick for doors. If you make an intention and then open a door, they can act as a portal if you open them with a really clear intention. Now, if I just want to find out what's on the other side, I'll use 360 vision, which I don't recommend unless you're trying to actually see through a wall or you need your panoramic view when you're flying. I'll get into that in another episode, and I already have in a few. So I'm going to continue on here. As far as the door as a portal, make your intention to go somewhere specific, but not too specific. A positive area with intelligent beings, and maybe add a few more details, but not too many. Something like that. And you can open the door and see where you end up. So again, I forgot a specific detail here. I only asked to visit an alien planet I hadn't been to before. I totally forgot to specify I wanted intelligent life to communicate with, to be there. And that is a huge, vast difference. So when I'm, at the top of my game, I will always include something like that. But again, not at the top of my game last night, was I? So, yeah, a little bit of a blunder, but still. I phased on through the door portal. It just kind of started glowing white, so I went on through it. And I was in this strange alien landscape. I actually did end up on another planet. It was more of a landscape. Everything was muted gray. There was gray sand, gray sky, gray light. It was quiet. There was a still gray beach stretched out before me. Things were a little blurry. And I'm not sure if that was because of my ability being a little, dim, because I wasn't 100% lucid, or if that was just the area. Like maybe that's just how it looked in a twilightish way. I mean, maybe that's twilight for that planet. I don't know, because I don't know where I was. The water was covered in tiny fizzing bubbles that were very buoyant, super buoyant water. So I'm thinking the place had a bit lighter gravity. I did not feel heavy at all, which is another sign of that for me. I couldn't see very far. again, maybe that was me, maybe that was the place. It was this wonderful liminal space, though. It was so nice, just and calm, neutral tones, the buoyant, fizzy water, which I couldn't actually hear. I wonder what it sounded like. I don't know. And that was that one, because I woke up yet again due to the heat. And in that case, I woke up because I had a little bit of sweat on my neck, and I just had to wipe it off. So, oh well. It's a little bit irritating, but I think at the end of the day, it's a good thing that our physical bodies get the last word in, because the time that it could be actually important to wake up and you don't would be horrible, right? So I'd rather wake up more than not anyway. And when I'm comfortable, I'll sleep for hours and hours, and this won't happen. So, yeah. Moving on. The most intriguing part of last night, the one you've been waiting for, at least I know a few people have, was returning to the Bennington Alien Visitor Center, which those of you who've listened to the earlier episodes, you'll know is a recurring place now in my travels on purpose. I have been purposely attempting to go there time after time after time after time. And there's a playlist for the Bennington and Mount Mansfield area if you would like to get caught up. Usually it's empty lately. The help desks have been there out in the bright sunlight, but there's no one around. And the portal is always the same, a misty gray area, not associated with the last planet there at all. In the upper parts of the lower astrals to the mid-astral dimensions. And it's like in these cakey layers that aren't like cake. Kind of difficult to describe. Think of a thick plasticky pod, I guess, that's grayish, but also misty. So I hover above it, and I drift down through it, through the pod, encasing the denser dimensions there, and down into the area. And usually it's bright afternoon, nobody's there, except for the last episodes that I've talked about already. These are just my recent attempts. But this time I figured, I'd stay in the local area and not try to go out to a planet if I was going to wake up really soon anyway. So this time I drifted on down into the area, and it was very different. It was crowded with beings. Again, I don't think my vision was the best. Well, I know it wasn't. And it had a purple haze kind of vibe, like a low-key party or lounge scene had taken over. And the area looked the same, geometrically. It was still round like an island. But instead of the help desks, there was just this big party going on in here. Not like out of control party again, a very hazy, mellow party. But, the energy was so different, casual, a bit messy, with a smoky, hazy atmosphere. So, finally I found something going on in there instead of it just being empty. So I was really excited about that. But at the same time, the mellowness of the area and my already fatigue was hitting me. So I was like, whoa, it was just kind of vibing out in there almost instantaneously. It was so mellow. Oh my gosh. But the purples kind of kept my mind focused too at the same time, and plus my own intentions. And plus I was still recounting some of my previous experiences from the evening, kind of in the back of my soul, I guess you could say, or my mind, both kind of. Trying to hold on to the feelings. And I make bookmarks, mental bookmarks. And I was processing some of those, plus being there in the haze, mellowing out already. It was almost so sudden, kind of. So I asked about the tic-tac shaped crafts I've seen in past experiences. And you can listen to those in the other episodes. And I was asking which types of beings are specifically associated with them, and if they visit this particular Visitor Center often. I was really curious about what kinds of beings come to this particular center because I think that's what people would want to know about. And, mainly what it's used for. And I've already explained how I get into it now, which is a very particular way, which is not uncommon in some energy meccas, I guess you could say, in the astral. You'll see why I just used that word. I'm not going to take this out because it's interesting why I used that word right there, mecca. So one of the locals, I guess, a being, I think it was an alien because of the translation, told me something that stuck with me. This place is really just a dive hub mecca. That's how it translated. Remember, our minds are always translating. And so in this case, you actually need to go down to get into it. And I made some pictures, with some programs that are in the thumbnail. And hopefully it kind of shows in a general way what I'm talking about. So it's only a hidden higher vibrational space on the inside, not the outside. The outside is that higher, lower astral area into the lower mid astrals. But on the inside, once you're in there, most of the time when I'm in there, it's really high vibration. But this time, there's this super mellow purple haze party thing happening. Maybe that's what we can call it. So that reframed things a little for me. So the Bennington Center, for all its usual structure, and apparent purpose, as like an alien intake center or something, I don't know, is really just a well-hidden astral waystation of sorts, a familiar entry point for the locals, but not necessarily a place of deeper meaning unless it's reserved for that purpose. So this is a special place. It really is. It's a little nook and cranny out of the way, an actual dive, right? An actual dive. And you could dive into it, I suppose, but I wouldn't recommend it because of that, the way that portal is. Actually, it's better to just kind of slowly phase in there. But once you're in there, I can see how people would call it a dive. And in this case, an actual dive party. So what's the purple haze and smoky atmosphere all about for this particular experience? I've encountered this before in the astral. Some astral beings inhale or absorb these various colored and centered vapors into their energy bodies. I've seen these offered in various astral malls and shops. Once I made a trade, actually. I don't remember which episode it was, but somebody wanted one of my old coins. Like sometimes when I'm trading in the astral, I just pull stuff out and see what comes out in my hands and let people pick what they want in exchange for what I want. And this one man wanted this old looking coin. And what he did was he broke it open. I didn't even know it would do this. He broke it open and vapors came out. He inhaled them. So there's one instance of vapors on a smaller level in the astral. And inhaling is really just an analogy for absorbing that energy. You don't actually need to inhale in the astral, of course. Results vary based on what's going on, but in this case, these vapors were, massive. They were filling the place with a general euphoria and that mellow, hazy feeling I was so tempted to get lost in. But, I'm well practiced even when I'm tired, and I held on. I did not lose my focus. But man, I sure wanted to, I gotta say. This was amazing in there. I really wanted to just, get lost in it and go deep and all that. But I knew if I did, I wouldn't be able to remember and recall and recount this. Also, there were floating silver ID tags drifting around. Someone telepathically told me, I don't know who, just another abstract mind or something, that I should embed one of them, even though She said I already had a proper astral ident. So this means I've been approved for the area officially. If they already noticed, I was pre-approved. And also it was very easy to slip into there. And it hasn't always been. So this means, they've approved me now over there. And she said it would help me stay longer if I took another tag. And these were just floating around in the room for people who wanted them. So I'm thinking they're just kind of energy boosters at that point if you're already properly ID'd. So I opened up my left palm, wrist up, and one kind of floated over magnetically and just kind of slipped under my misty form's surface for a while. I mean, it was just drifty because I was drifty. Remember, I usually float around a bit in a misty form with some colors and things and that mistwear I've talked about before. So I was just doing my usual thing, and it just kind of slipped in there and gave me a little boost. So I drifted in that hazy feeling and even did something of a slow spiraling dance with a group of, I want to say people, but I think beings. I think it was a mixed group. And I started to get too lost in it yet again. This place, the way they had it set up and everything, I was just really wanted to zone. But I woke myself up on purpose. So this is something you can do to make sure you remember the things you would like to remember. Memory recall tip. You can wake yourself up on purpose to make sure you remember the experience. And I have a whole episode about how to wake yourself up. So you can check that out if you'd like. I don't want to get into it right now. And I know so many of you have been waiting for more Bennington updates. I didn't want to disappoint, so I was highly motivated this time to not forget the experience. So thank you so much for joining me on this astral journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future adventures. I try not to say that too much, just maybe once at the end or something. Thanks for hanging in there with me, all of you who have for all these years. And if you have any thoughts or ideas for perks or topics, if you have a special request, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. In this case, the Bennington request, I've been attempting for many months on that one, but I'm so happy I did because it's such a neat place. Until next time, keep exploring and happy astral travels. Lots of love, everyone. Love and joy, bliss.